Due to the overwhelming success of the Corman Poe pictures, Price was next offered a 3-picture deal shooting in Italy, which he accepted in large part because it offered him the opportunity to visit the famous art collections and ruins of Europe with his wife Mary between filming dates. The 3 movies were Nefertiti, Queen of the Nile, a sword and sandal adventure film starring Jean Crane as Queen Nefertiti, Rage of the Buccaneers, a swashbuckling pirate film co-starring Ricardo Montalban, and The Last Man on Earth, an adaptation of the Richard Matheson post-apocalyptic vampire film. All 3 films were shot during 1961 but wouldn't be released in the United States until years later. Vincent and Mary returned to the U.S. after filming the trio of Italian films, and it was around this time that Vincent had a book published called The Book of Joe. Vincent was a big animal lover and demonstrated it by writing a loving tribute to his favorite 4-legged companion, his dog Joe, as well as other animals he'd come to know and love over the years. This was actually the second book that Vincent had published, the first being I Like What I Know, a visual autobiography in 1959. It was partly an autobiography and part art book singing the praises of collecting and admiring fine art. In 1962, the Sears Roebuck Company hired Vincent Price to become their official spokesman for a new program they titled the Vincent Price Collection of Fine Art. Price personally procured thousands of pieces of fine art that was sold by the Sears Roebuck Company. The idea was to bring art to the people, something Price was a big believer in.
Hello. Perhaps some of you are wondering what I'm doing carrying around a stepladder. Well, let me assure you, I was hanging pictures and not people. But there may be some others of you who know that I have another interest besides movies, and that's an interest in fine arts. And some of you may have read in the papers that Sears is starting a department, a section of fine arts. But before I tell you about this, let me go back about 3 months ago and tell you how it all started. George Struthers and Frank Stover came out to Hollywood one day and asked me if I would be interested in making a collection for the fine arts section of 621. You see, I'm already catching on to your language. Well, I was tremendously excited by this challenge because I have always felt that the fine arts should be brought to the people, to the great numbers of people around this country. And suddenly I was presented with the opportunity to do it in the company that represents more people than any other company in America, and that probably has contact with more American people than any other company. So a lifelong desire of mine was fulfilled, and I was given a white card, a carte blanche to go ahead and form a collection of fine art that Sears could back up with their great guarantees of quality or your money back, and to make it as exciting to you all and to the public. So I accepted the challenge, and I started making a collection of fine arts.
1962 was also a big year for the Prices personally, as Mary gave birth to their daughter named Mary Victoria Price on April 27, 1962. This was Vincent's second child. His first, Vincent Barrett Price, was born in 1940 to first wife Edith Barrett. Vincent was next seen by audiences on the big screen that same month, April 1962, in the film Convicts 4. This prison drama was based on the real-life events of John Resco, a death row prisoner whose sentence was commuted to life in prison. While there, he eventually turned to art as a means of rehabilitation and working out his frustrations. Vincent appears very briefly in this film as, appropriately enough, an art expert and critic named Carl Karmer. He visits the prison to check out Resco's art and encourages his artistic talents. Of special interest is this comment by the guard after Karmer leaves, an obvious reference to Vincent's first book.
That guy's Carl Karmer, a friend of the commissioner. He writes books. He not only knows all about art, he even knows what he likes. I'll bet you the warden got him up here to see your paintings.
Directed by Millard Kaufman for Allied Artists, Convicts 4 is actually a pretty decent drama with an interesting cast, including Ben Gazzara, Stuart Whitman, Ray Walston, Rod Steiger, Broderick Crawford, and Sammy Davis Jr. Next up for price, it's more crime drama in the 1962 film Confessions of an Opium Eater.
Well, I don't know what kind of man this guy is, but he's one hell of a painter.
I love to visit Walker Art Center. There's so much to see and do here. Breathtaking displays of painting, sculpture, design, the latest in dance and music, lectures, tours, thrilling events for the whole family. And you can see films, even some of mine. Come to the Center for all the arts. At Walker Art Center, modern art doesn't have to be scary.